How many times have you said, well, everyone else watches it? Or it's difficult finding content that doesn't have things that are bad, so we just watch it anyways. But I know not to do it. I get that it's difficult finding content that doesn't use God's name in vain or have things that should not be watched. I understand that. But don't think for 1 second that this wasn't all done on purpose by the devil, because it is. We see in Genesis 3:1 that the devil is cunning. Now the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, has God indeed said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? Do you know what the heading is for this scripture in the New King James Version? It's headed, The Temptation and Fall of Man. It says that the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field. The definition of cunning is skill in achieving one's end by deceit. The devil wanted the woman to think that there was nothing wrong with eating the fruit. The devil says to her, has God indeed said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? Making her question the very words that she heard with her own ears by God himself. Yet when God tells us not to blaspheme his name, clearly written in the 10 Commandments, by the way, that's how important it is. Yet we say things like, it's a different time. Everyone does it. There are no movies or shows to watch if I follow this. And what's your point? It is commanded by God himself, written on the tablets by the finger of God. Yet just like Eve, we are deceived into thinking that it's okay. This is just part of the times. It's what society does. I want to end with this. Do you remember the trend where everyone who did something rude or obnoxious was called a Karen? You're rude? Okay, you're a Karen. I hated this trend because I felt so bad for those whose name was Karen. I remember at one point my husband and I talked about how everyone with the name Karen probably hated this. So why? Why would we assume that? It's because that was their name, and the name that they had was being used in a manner of hatred, a manner of disgust, and in a manner of mockery. So why is it that we assume that it's okay to do this to God, the creator of the universe? And I do understand if someone at work does this, maybe you ask them to stop, etc. I understand that some situations you are in place you where you need to just keep praying for it and for it to change. But when we deliberately watch a show that blasphemes, this is escapable. This is not something that we have to do or have to deal with.